Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I don't think I showed you this tweet. This is Brad Garlinghouse. It's Memorial Day weekend in the U.S. I woke up today reflecting about feeling appreciation for all the country's accomplished and what it hopefully will, maybe with XRP. Thankful to those who have served and lost their lives so we could have this life. Yes. And then we've got the official cool guy checking in as well. Happy Memorial Day to everyone. After I do this video, I am actually going to go to a pool party myself. So check this out. Now, I showed this in the last video, but I wanted to make a point here. The first point I wanted to make is that John Deaton normally doesn't even talk about stuff like this, which I find interesting. Against the backdrop of me saying, now John Deaton has not said it, but I'm saying, and I'll say it again, I believe this thing's over. And I'm not getting that from one place. I've seen about 5 or 6 things, seen and heard about 5 or 6 things that lead me to believe that this thing's over and we're just waiting on them. They've probably got some agreed upon announcement date. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. My gut is right 99.9% of the time. But John Deaton in this tweet had said XRP sits at 48 cents. And it's crazy to think about how many people who refuse to buy it now are going to buy it over $1. What's even more crazy is that FOMO won't likely kick in until $2. And this guy says Deaton almost every time he tries to predict things. And John says the guy likely to buy at $3. I consider that a pretty bold, not prediction. John's not making a prediction, but he's letting you know that he thinks this thing is going to go, $2 and $3 and beyond once this thing's over, like I do too. I said in my last video, I think we're looking at all-time high to $20 on the speculation if Ripple prevails in this thing. If XRP gets legal clarity and is the only digital asset with legal clarity in the United States, because that's what it would be. If there's a settlement, especially if there's a settlement, it'll only apply to XRP. So I want to remind you all of something. Before all of this started, February 15th, 2018, in the 2017-2018 bull run, there was nobody that touched XRP. Back at the time, they called XRP Ripple. I believe that was intentional to try to make Ripple and XRP appear to be the same thing. I think they did that in a coordinated fashion. This article is from Yahoo Finance. If you bought $1,000 of XRP, not Ripple, in 2017, here's what it would be worth today. And it says right here, Bitcoin's amazing rally in 2017 was impressive, but it pales in comparison to Ripple's performance. One of the best performing cryptocurrencies of 2017, Ripple's price soared by staggering 36,600% during the year. Folks, since that time, they have tried, as you know, they have tried everything, including ETHgate, to put Ripple down and to put XRP down. And I believe they failed, partially because you and me and a lot of the people listening to my voice. So what would, if you, how well, and it outperformed Ethereum too, by the way. So just how well did it perform? So if you had put $1,000 in Ripple, it would have been worth $171,700. That's how much it went up. Do those percentages and look at what are we at? 47, 48 cents right now? Run those percentages on that number. If it had a repeat of that, I'm not saying it will, but if it had anywhere close to a repeat of that year. And remember, that year it didn't have legal clarity and it had competitors. If XRP gets legal clarity by itself, it will have something that no digital asset has ever had in the history of digital assets in the United States. The only one with legal clarity. What happens in that scenario? There's no telling. I want to play you a little bit of this. Kevin McCarthy surrenders. He's talking about the debt ceiling. Pretty, we knew this was going to happen.
As pretty much everybody predicted, Kevin McCarthy surrendered. The speaker chose Memorial Day Sunday, when voters are maximally distracted, honoring our veterans and enjoying time with their family and friends in the real world, to announce he did exactly what we all knew he would do. He folded on the debt ceiling. Thing is, this was not a normal surrender, like you fought hard but just couldn't pull it off. No, this was a complete and total surrender, the kind where you look around for extra things to give the Vikings as they carry off your children. Maybe you bake them a pie for the long trip back to Norway. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, Kevin got roughly nothing in return for at least $4 trillion in new debt, possibly much more debt, since Kevin very helpfully suspended the debt ceiling until, get this, after the 2024 election. Now, given how fast Biden's handlers run through trillions, they will gobble that right up, at which point it is a straight shot to a national debt of $40 trillion.
$40 trillion. That is pitiful. Then we got this breaking. Crypto exchange Huobi is now allowed to offer Bitcoin and crypto spot trading to retail and institutional investors in Hong Kong. So it looks like China is more democratic than we are, or more capitalist than we are. Now here's an interesting clip. This is a good clip from Linda P. Jones. She was on the Good Morning Crypto show. She makes a good point here.
One thing that is right, almost exact, is how the media is bad-mouthing the new technology. But back in the day, when the internet was first coming into being, they talked about it being for porn, and how it was, for criminals, and how they were going to steal your credit cards if you tried to do any transactions on the internet, and how you could it would never be safe.
Now, the good news is we are here, as we say all the time, we're here so early in this space that I know it feels like we're late, because we're sitting there waiting. We are in a
Okay. All right, let me move along. I want to show you this because I think that these are some interesting points that this Brian Costello is making, okay? This guy, for those of you, this guy is one of those guys I've seen on Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business, and he's all over the China connection with regard to what I think, if I had to summarize it, how the Chinese have compromised a lot of our politicians, business people, and otherwise in the United States. He's been all over this. Well, he also plugged into the whole Hinman J. Clayton thing too. He says here, he's trying to get our attention here. He says the 2018 Ethereum free pass clearly reeks of Hinman Clayton's self-interest. Correct. Friends, advantage and greed. XRP Ripple suit was a veil. This is interesting here. A veil to pacify current administration and make sure the prior crimes they committed. This is him talking, not me. The prior crimes they committed were covering up for China IPOs related to Ether mining wasn't investigated by the new administration. They needed to make Gensler and Warren happy. This is an interesting angle here. He was replying to what I had put out yesterday. I was putting out all this about Hinman and all, and basically here he says it again. He says the Ether free pass was to facilitate China's mining infrastructure IPOs for their Wall Street buddies. Remember Hinman meeting with Chris Lin. They also were covering up major capital market crimes by Chinese executives. I believe XRP Ripple action was aimed at appeasing Gensler and Warren. And if you remember, he could be right here, but if you remember, Jay Clayton met with Gary Gensler, I think it was the day before he dropped the lawsuit. Appeasing Gensler and Warren, new administration to avoid an investigation into their actions. Doesn't mean Hinman wasn't involved in XRP Ripple suit. He was involved. He was involved in bringing it. He had incentive to appease the new administration, didn't want to go to jail. How'd that work out for you? And then he says, rewind to 18. Amid Trump's trade deal resolution with China, Hinman and Clayton were clearing the deck for China's crypto boom. The key was infrastructure IPOs for Bitcoin and Ethereum mining. That's why Ether needed the hall pass. Hinman's criminal meeting with Chris Lin, his words, not mine, at Simpson surfaced. By doing this, profits would flow to their old law firm, Simpson & Sullivan, where they would reap the benefits. Boy, 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 I think this guy is way over the target. Now, so what I wanted to show you here is, remember this video? This is what's going on. This is the guy that's investigating the current administration. Listen to this. I put this out on April 23rd.
Oh. One source sends me this. One of the huge benefits the Chinese may well have paid for was then Vice President Biden presiding over the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, on May 7, 2013, between our Public Company Accounting Oversight Board and the Chinese Regulatory Commission to waive federal auditing requirements for hundreds of Chinese companies listed on U.S. exchanges. Was that part of it? Thousands more traded in our markets, all in violation of U.S. federal securities laws.
There are 6 specific decisions.
Oh, shoot. I just accidentally... Here, hold on.
One source, and the Chinese regulate federal hundreds of China exchanges. Thousands more traded in our violation of U.S. federal securities laws.
There are 6 specific decisions that Joe Biden made, either as vice president or president, that are very concerning to us, that we believe could potentially lead back to payments that were made to these LLCs that were then laundered down to the Biden family members. So,
all right. Now, look here. I copied Brian Costello in on this statement on continued dialogue with audit firm representatives on audit quality in China and other emerging markets. And it's got Clayton and Hinman right there. And then there was this tweet from Brian Costello back on July 29, 2022. Why is only place dim leadership refusing to investigate prior admin? Is Clayton and Hinman covering up China fraud at the SEC? What's Gensler trying to cover up? Gensler also protecting China with audit transparency ruse. And then he goes on, he says, yes, Biden let China break our laws with MOU in 2013, covered up by this today, covered by them today. Clayton Alibaba Goldman banker continued the scam at the SEC for China. Now former Biden Obama CFTC and current SEC chair is continuing the fraud on American people, our economy, national security, hiding Chinese executive crimes, has great rewards after office. I have the receipts. Stay tuned. Then there was this. This is something I tweeted in August 1st, 2022. Senator Warren, you put out this report in July 2017 warning corporate insiders in the Trump administration and their conflicts of interest. You specifically listed Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman. We've now collected all the evidence of what they did regarding Ethereum. So this is what she had put out, warning everyone about corporate insiders. She was warning about specifically Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman going to the SEC. Now it all comes full circle for me, or it starts to. I think it does.
So he's starting with Bitcoin, back to starting with Bitcoin. But my guess is, and we own 1% or something, and so I'm not going to drive that decision. But knowing how Jeff thinks, he's not doing just to be a Bitcoin exchange. It's going to be whatever coins these guys want to trade, whatever tokens these guys want to trade, he'll be the liquidity provider. And companies don't want to take Bitcoin risk or Ether risk or stablecoin risk. So they're going to instantly transact with this exchange. What does that look like? It looks like a payment system. And so instead of using MasterCard and paying the processing fee, he's going to drive fees much lower. It's literally like the Trojan horse way to go after payments.
Trojan horse. What was Ripple going after? Payments. And remember, I showed you the other day that video, and I also showed you this. December 6th, Goldman Sachs Group Conference. Jeff Sprecher is talking about how crypto assets are going to be regulated and dealt with like securities. Senator Warren is there. Sprecher explained that the new regulations are not really necessary because the framework for regulating cryptocurrency is already in place. And then it goes on to say that Gary Gensler is the one that's leading this up, and he's going after Ripple and Library. And then here's you're talking about bad guys. This Gary Gensler's calendar is just chock full of bad guys. First, that person whose name we don't even say on this channel, And I'm not saying Jeffrey Sprecker's a bad guy. I'm just saying there's a lot of bad guys on the calendar. But Jeffrey Sprecher did meet with him on August 9th of 2021. That's the same guy that's running back. And then, of course, Gary is talking to Elizabeth Warren's, whatever you call him, her chief of staff on the phone, same month. They're all thick as thieves. Right after he talks to her chief of staff, he's immediately talking to the Chinese version of the SEC right after that. That's his very next meeting. Folks, the writing's on the wall. We've got the receipts. Brian Costello has the receipts. It's all there, folks. We either have a country or we don't. And if we want to have a country, the bad guys need to be dealt with, period. I've done this because I want my children to have a future. That's why I got involved in XRP in the first place. And I refuse to let these nasty, and I do mean nasty people, destroy our country and my children's future. And that's why I fight the good fight. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button and tell your friends and family on Memorial Day, USA, not China. Thanks for listening.